Most supplement lists are backwards. They start with what's popular, not with what's effective. My team gathered a list of popular supplements, and I'm ranking them on what actually moves the needle in terms of longevity and metabolic health. So we have 5 categories. The first one is no-brainer. Everybody should take this. The second is pretty good. The third one is neutral, meaning it won't hurt you, probably doesn't do much to help you, but it won't hurt you. The fourth one is overhyped, and the fifth one is I would not do that. The first one is collagen. I'd actually give this one a 4. Say it's overhyped. Why? Well, for years, I had patients taking this, telling me their fingernails were getting better, their hair was growing better, and it was all subjective. And then a few studies even confirmed that maybe, in fact, that would be better than a placebo. But then I started measuring their metabolic health, their insulin response, their blood sugars, and that powderized molecule in the setting of patients with insulin resistance was actually doing more harm than good. It was giving them a glucose response, which in turn lit up their insulin, the opposite of what they needed to improve their longevity. I actually got as far as considering to manufacture this. And that's when I saw that the places they were getting that collagen from was not the best. You should get collagen from the extra parts in an animal, like the bone broth, like the bone marrow, and even just the gristle found in meat. Those are all great places where your body will absorb the collagen and use it. But what's happening when you eat it from an animal is that you aren't spiking your insulin. So save your money on the collagen, just eat the animal. Next is methylene blue. Now, I've oscillated between pretty good and a no-brainer, like a 2 or a 1. Before I looked into the research on this, I thought, this is junk science, but it's actually not. This molecule has been around forever. It's off patent. And so the research that's done on it is kind of buried. And you want to know my favorite side effect when I was experimenting with methylene blue is mosquito bites. Okay, that sounds weird, but I live in Florida and these darn mosquitoes live all year long. And the best repellent in the world is to have me stand next to you because they just love me. I started taking methylene blue and I just got no mosquito bites. Now, there's actually some science behind that. The original use of methylene blue had to do with anti-malarial effects. Malaria is caused by a parasite. And when the parasite was first discovered and they were looking for antidotes, 1 drop of the methylene blue killed the parasite. And then it did all kinds of these similar death to the viruses and death to these parasites that was just beyond, it was called the magic pill at first. All right, so that's its origin story. But why I like it is when patients are having struggles with their brain, they come to me. We put them on the ketogenic diet and we try really hard to get their brain back to working well. But even just a few droppers of this methylene blue also got their brain activated and they were clearer. And dang, most supplements can't even get past the blood-brain barrier, let alone all the way into those mitochondria that are responsible for your brain energy. So I love this one, but I'll probably keep it in 2 for pretty good until I do some more research because I'm still kind of can't believe how good it is. Probiotics. Now, these irritate me so much. When I look at almost all of these, I would tell people, I would not do that. There is one exception, I'll get to that. But probiotics are this way where you're trying to seed the bacteria that populate your colon. That's way down the hose. And so people swallow it. It has to get through the acid. And then that small intestine is sterile. It's free of microbials. So the microbials that you're giving, that you're swallowing, have to get to the colon and then set up their home. Okay. Most of the stuff out there is not anywhere close to that advanced. What I've seen happen in probiotics is, well, they were particles of microbials, so that's never going to turn into the bug that you are paying for. But more importantly, when a bug, you're trying to seed the bug, if you have dysfunction in your gut, it starts to seed it in the small intestine, or it puts those bugs in the wrong spot. So I do not like this. In fact, the one place where I has the research, it really took me from a skeptic to believing that probiotics could do something, is Pendulum, because they actually use the science needed to sporinate the bugs, put them in the right kind of capsules to get past the acid, past the small intestine, and then open up in the area where the large intestine needs the delivery of these bugs. But I would never put that in a patient whose blood sugar is going up and down and up and down and up and down. I would wait for you to get your metabolism going in the right direction before I'd spend the $300 to $500 it's going to take to actually seed those bacteria in your colon. It's a no-brainer for people who have inflammatory gut problems and they're on a ketogenic journey. They're in a place where their sugars are controlled. But I would have a 4 of overhyped for almost every probiotic that I've read about since then. Vitamin D3 with K2, absolutely. This is a no-brainer. Everybody should take this. Not only are these hormones, especially the vitamin D, it's a hormone and a vitamin at the same time. And they're both fat soluble. In our ancestral menus, they were found so many places. But today, vitamin D is a canary in the coal mine showing me that your metabolism is messy, especially for fat-based molecules. I love looking at this lab for patients and saying, hey, you need help. Supplementing is something I do in everybody in my family. I do this. It is a no-brainer. Everybody should supplement this. All right, Zyn is nicotine without the tobacco. And oh my goodness, it's everywhere. I am happily married and my husband uses Zyn. And I have looked and looked and looked and looked for any published article that has the evidence to say, honey, you shouldn't do that. But I failed. So it's a 2. It's pretty good in that nicotine is a stimulant. Nicotine does cross the blood-brain barrier, gets into the brain. It improves cognition. It actually lowers blood sugar, improves metabolism. It can increase your heart rate a little bit and it can raise blood pressure, but it's just slight. The only negative is it's very addictive. So I do not use it. My husband does. And I have looked for at least 20 years on an article to say he shouldn't do it. But nicotine is actually pretty good. Oh my God. Rhino male enhancement. Okay. Never heard of it, but I'm worried. Anything that's, oh, how phallic. I'm pretty sure this is the one where like the FDA came out and said, hey, y'all are getting scammed. They're putting like Viagra in there. They're putting drugs inside this enhancement or inside this supplement to help you with your male struggles. Danger, danger. Do not trust this company. When the FDA warns you against it, best stay away from that one. So this is I wouldn't do that. Number 5. BHB. Yes. Well, this is absolutely something that I would have on your shelf if you're trying to do the ketogenic diet. I mean, even if you're not really, you're just doing low carb, but you have days where you want the brain enhancement, beta hydroxybutyrate is, especially the salts, are the supplements where you can drink yourself into a keto diet. Now, there are places where I would be careful of it, but when it's a BHB salt, I really have no place where I've seen danger with this supplement. It's a wonderful bridge for anybody who has had too many carbs and they need to get back into ketosis. It's also been really helpful for my severely insulin resistant patients trying to start their metabolic engine in the right direction. And those circulating BHBs aren't just brain fuel or heart fuel, which they are. It's a signaling agent on how your liver makes its own ketones. It's a signaling agent on how that those cells divide and talk to one another. So I love this. I actually make this, and I do that because everybody in my family uses it too when we need peak performance for brains. I do. No-brainer. Magnesium, no-brainer. Absolutely no-brainer. Everybody should be taking magnesium. I teach patients the ketogenic diet, so we end up with a huge amount of diuresis or removal of fluid over the first couple of weeks. And it is like clockwork. We can predict when their body says, oh my gosh, we cannot extract any more magnesium from their bones, and they start to get things like brain fog or tired or low blood pressure or muscle cramps. And man, we add magnesium back and they all are doing really well. So I look at trying to prevent that by saying, everybody is right on the edge of low magnesium. Welcome to the world of our soil and our nutrition. I take magnesium every day. When I get low, I even go for a magnesium float, which is like practically a whole bottle of magnesium by hanging out in super salty, super high magnesium water for an hour. It's fantastic. It fixes lots of life's problems. So magnesium, number 1, no-brainer. AG1. I would probably give it a 3, won't hurt most people. Here's why. AG1 is like powdered vegetables, powdered minerals and vitamins. And I swear their business plan is to sponsor any podcast that's ever been around, because I hear about their advertising all the time. And in theory, it's a really good idea. Just put your vegetables in a scoop. And my patients hear that and say, well, I don't eat any vegetables. That's where I need to get my nutrients from, right? And I just found patients get really distracted by saying, if I'm not going to eat the vegetables, I need to powderize them. And the insulin response, meaning when you put a particleized version of broccoli into your body, my insulin resistant patients get a response of insulin. They make insulin inappropriately. And so anytime I powderize something, it needs to be really worth it for my patients to benefit. Having said that, it's not like those minerals and vitamins are bad for you. It's that if you're healthy and you don't have insulin resistance, probably worth it. Personally, I want my nutrients to come from real food. I think it keeps me diligent about eating the things that are kind of on the fringes for society, like bone marrow or, the skin off of the chicken wing, not just the chicken breast. You're looking for the nutrient dense food, and I'm not going to depend on powder to get that into me. MitoPure. Wow. This one also took about a month of my life a few years ago when I was diving in to say, dang, they have a ton of research about how their mitochondrial enhancement is done. And again, it comes from like the part of a pomegranate. It's a very interesting origin story. I love the company, and to their benefit, they have done a ton of research on this. I would give it at least a 2, pretty good. And the only thing that holds me back is the price. That yes, I have patients who I really want their mitochondria to be enhanced, and we need to do some repairing, but I wouldn't put this supplement above an advanced ketogenic diet. Like being in a state of ketosis and pushing that mitochondria to change over as rapidly as possible is far superior than the supplements of MitoPure in somebody who's still eating the wrong menu. So pretty good. If your pocketbook can afford it, go for it. I love the company. They're a really good company. Apple cider vinegar gummies. Yeah, that's a 5. Okay, 4. They aren't going to hurt you. They're just sugar. Like when these came out, my husband's like, oh my gosh, you should sell apple cider vinegar gummies. And I'm like, no, that is a stupid idea. And he's like, look at all the money they make with apple cider vinegar gummies. I'm like, I will never put my name on that. Apple cider vinegar itself has some data that lowers blood sugar, and it, switches the pH a little bit for an hour or so. It helps digestion. But even apple cider vinegar, I have a tough time talking patients into. I want them changing their menu. When the menu includes high sugar gummies that have like a squeeze of the sour apple cider vinegar in them, good Lord, do not put your money on that. It is completely overhyped. Zinc is a mineral that I do check for on labs when patients are really struggling with a prolonged segment of fatigue. When patients are low on zinc, it's almost always that they are taking in zinc, but their gut is leaking it right out the other side. So by supplementing, I think they're focused on the wrong thing. So I would say 3, it doesn't hurt them, but I think their focus is in the wrong spot. They should focus on improving their gut health. So concentrated green tea extract. And this is like 1,000 ECGs. I'm pretty sure that's like pretty toxic, like high levels of a stimulant. And like any stimulant, the dose matters. So people hear, yeah, green tea is really good for you. Sure, it is like, it's a cousin to caffeine. It's going to have a stimulating effect. But when you're drinking it in doses found in tea, it's nowhere close to this level. I would say I wouldn't do that. I would stay away from this. Ashwagandha. That's overhyped. Again, what they're looking for is that serotonin reuptake inhibitor process that is found in Prozac, Paxil, Zoloft, Celexa. And over the years, we've learned that if you're trying to help somebody's brain get out of the symptoms of depression, number 1, get their sleep patterns right. Number 2, get their menu to have less processed food, less carbohydrates. When I look at things like ashwagandha and compare it to the potency of generic Prozac, it's like 1/10 of a Prozac is ashwagandha. So sure, you have access to it over the counter, but I wouldn't start Prozac in somebody these days either. I would fix their menu, fix their sleep, and not start them on that. I'd even use a little methylene blue. Those all quick, easy fixes for them. So 4, overhyped. Creatine. This is a number 1 no-brainer. Everybody should be doing this. Okay, everybody over the age of maybe 45. If you're looking for your brain to work well, I mean, it's not just for muscle builders. Like, okay, all the rules of that have changed. Yes, it helps your muscle contractility. Yes, that creatine is easy to absorb, gets in your circulation. It hops into your muscle cells and it pulls water into those muscle cells. So all those things are true. But it also does that to your brain. The literature on helping with jet lag, helping with cognition, I mean, I can hardly find anything negative on creatine. So that's a number 1 no-brainer. Now, I do warn people to not powderize things. If you are fighting insulin resistance, I've had really good response from even my patients in their 80s who put on a continuous glucose monitor and they're taking their creatine and it does not change their blood sugar. It does not seem to have an insulin response. So far on that, I feel pretty good that my patients can use it. But it's about the only powderized thing that I tell patients is safe to use. Glutathione. Now, this is an antioxidant that I've seen patients even try to go to an IV lab and get IVs for this. I would not do that. From what I've seen on glutathione, yes, you are, trying to take that rogue free radical and, recharge your ATP and reset things. But I do think you're playing with a pretty powerful gun here. And unless you're doing it under the direct supervision of a physician, I think the studies on that say probably not getting the benefits that they're chirping at you in their marketing plan. And you might be getting some side effects. Like, that's a very powerful supplement. I would not do that. Vitamin C, overhyped. Definitely a 4. Most people are taking vitamin C and they say, oh, it's helped me with my infections, or I'm going to take this because I have a cold, and they're flooding their body with it. If they would just remove the carbohydrates, if they would be in a state of ketosis, the effect of what vitamin C is trying to do could be done at like a 50th of the dose, which means, you can get vitamin C found in liver, and it's enough to sustain the body as long as it's not in the presence of a whole bunch of carbohydrates. So to me, people put in vitamin C trying to have a quick fix for a problem that should have been fixed with a better menu. Whey protein. Okay, so they take milk, they ferment it, and they take the whey out of there and they make powdered protein. I think this is overhyped. I would put the 4 on this. Get your protein from Whole Foods. Patients are always writing in saying, am I having too much protein? Am I not having enough protein? The protein I want them reaching for is from Whole Foods. If you're going to powder a protein, use an egg white. That's way better than the whey proteins. The insulin response happens in most of my patients. I would stay away from it. So overhyped. And then there's kratom. So I think I ran into this over a decade ago, and it was before I started seeing it in like every 7-Eleven across the country. There are actually laws against kratom in some states because it's like an opiate analog. It's very addictive. Yes, people feel a buzz from it. So they put it in these, they call them energy drinks, but it's super addictive, and it's in the opium family, where the withdrawal is just like what happens from like opium, from hydrocodone. So absolutely 5, I would not do that. Supplements can be great, but the real work needs to be done if you want to undo or prevent metabolic problems. When my mom got diagnosed with cancer, I didn't just throw supplements at her. We did the real work. Click here to hear that story.